Hi, this is Jason McCarthy at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, back after the international break. Not that we've really had one, but the players and management certainly have, after Cambridge asked for the postponement of the latest League One fixture, which has been rearranged, of course, for the 23rd of April. Two big games to preview for you. We'll look ahead to the trip to Blackpool and the visit of league leaders Portsmouth tomorrow at Adams Park. Good Friday, 3 o'clock kickoff. We'll catch up with manager Matt Bloomfield, looking ahead to that and the latest from the training ground as well, after he spoke to the media earlier on this week. We'll also catch up with Phil with our match briefing. We'll speak to Captain Jack as well. Jack Grimmer will join us a little later on in the show. We'll hear from a real Wycombe Wanderers legend, Len Worley, the wing wizard from Chalfont St Peter, who of course was part of the very first Wycombe Wanderers team to play at Wembley. The countdown well and truly onto the Bristol Street Motors Trophy final, which is, when you say the 7th of April, it doesn't sound like that far away. It does sound like a long way away, doesn't it? But no, it's actually a week on Sunday. If you've got your ticket, you must be very, very excited about heading under the arch to back the Blues against Peterborough. We'll hear from Craig very soon as well to chat the latest with Wycombe Wanderers women as well. But first, as mentioned, our regular match briefing with Phil, and it must be great to be back at the training ground after what's been a bit of a break for the players and management team this week.
Yeah, lovely for them, and commiserations to Joe Lowe especially. He missed out from his international call-up to the Wales national side through injury, but he showed you that he was in consideration for the squad and would have been very excited if had Wales qualified for the Euros. For them to miss out on penalties means that he definitely won't be going to Germany in the summer with Wales, which would be a big blow. But hopefully there's some good foundations for Wales to kick on, and Joe can cement his place in the side, and they can get to perhaps the World Cup or the next Euros too. So he's young enough to have a few more tournaments left in him, but we were all willing Wales on to beat Poland in that penalty shootout on behalf of Joe Lowe. I'm sure Vokesy and Joe Jacobson were on the edge of their seat as well. But yeah, international break, that's kind of, it was nice to see some competitive football. England obviously with their friendlies. But yeah, Wales unlucky, and it's that time of year now, Colin, where you kind of almost forget what day it is, because we've got a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Friday at Adams Park for Good Friday, which promises to be an absolutely electric game.
No, absolutely. I mean, a great treat for, we'll hear from the manager a bit later on as well, but for perhaps those that can't make a Saturday and can come down to a Friday and really back the team, and no better time than with the league leaders in town.
Yeah, and Wycombe on good form too. So Portsmouth, they're looking in the box seat. Well, they are in the box seat for automatic promotion into the Championship. A club of their size, they've been, willing to get back there for a long time now. It seems like they've been out of the top 2 tiers for a very long time indeed. And with their fan base, they should be in the Championship really. But, the league table is cruel. They've not been able to get out of this division now after several attempts, and they're almost touching distance. But they'll be approaching Adams Park with trepidation, I think, tomorrow, because they've lost a couple here of late, and everyone always says it. Wycomb's a tough place to go. There was a time this season when it wasn't particularly tough, but the form since Christmas and January, and especially since the window, Wycombe have been excellent at home. So I think it's all set to be a really, really good game.
It must be such a boost as well for the players to be on this run, as you say, three wins in a row. And, I know when we've spoken before as well, and you've seen over the years, haven't you, that Wycombe really do raise their game when the big teams are coming.
Yeah, because, the away end will be sold out. Pompey fans have been in excellent voice on the road this season. Wycombe fans, for an Easter fixture at home on Good Friday, we hope to see lots of Wycombe fans coming through the turnstiles too. Ticket sales have been really good. So it should be an electric atmosphere, which always brings the best out of our players as well. So, with that recent run of form as well, from a fan point of view, the pressure's off a little bit, because there was that period of the season where we were looking over our shoulders towards the bottom 4. The gaffers obviously said that, from a playing point of view, they were always confident that performances would be good enough to get enough points on the board to not to worry about relegation. But fans are different animals, aren't they, Colin? We worry about stuff like that. But that recent run of form has certainly pulled us us well into the safety of mid-table. But we've got Wembley around the corner as well. But it means that players will want to keep their places in the team. So it should be uber competitive tomorrow. And there's no better way than convincing the Gaffer that you should be starting at Wembley a week on Sunday than being part of a team that beats the table toppers at Adams Park.
I was going to say, it'll be such a gauge, won't it, of how the team is doing when they're taking on the calibre of Portsmouth, who are flying high, and obviously Blackpool just around the corner as well.
Yes, yeah. Friday and Monday, this is why English football's so popular around the world, because, we go like pedal to the metal at times, don't we? Over Christmas and Easter, there's games from every angle. So, yeah, Friday, then Monday. It's a long journey Monday as well up to Blackpool. There'll be quick recovery time required. But Blackpool on the fringes of the playoffs themselves, a team that, again, have dined at the top table of football in the Premier League in the not-too-recent history. They'll be looking to get themselves back in the Championship as well under Neil Critchley. And to do so, they're probably going to have to go through the playoffs route. I think the Autos is probably too far a stretch from them now, but it's really competitive to get in that top six too. So that's going to be a tough test for Wycombe away from home on Monday. And that will be, 6 days before that Wembley final as well. So it's a very busy couple of weeks for Wycombe Wanderers, but this is what it's like when you get into finals. So it's a really, really nice problem to have.
And do you feel there are particular positions which are up for grabs for Wembley? I mean, we've seen how well Franco's done since he's come in, and as you say, since Joe Lowe's been out, and Nigel's done well as well.
Yeah, and that's what the Gaffer has created here with this squad. That's what it's all about, a squad game. Certainly when the fixtures are coming this thick and fast, you want strength in depth, and Wycombe Wanderers have shown that since January. Look, Max, I thought was unfortunate to be sent off. Those things can happen in the blink of an eye. It's a quick decision come out. It's a red card. It's a straight red. The reason given in gave him a 3-game ban, which gave Franco the chance he'd been very patiently waiting for. And the goalkeeper, it's that sort of position, isn't it? They're your clubs until you do something to tell the manager they're not anymore. And Franco has been excellent. So Max is, no doubt he'll be frustrated, but he's going to have to be patient and wait for his opportunity. But what's really, really good, though, is you've got two excellent goalkeepers who know they need to be absolutely on their game to keep the position. And that's fantastic. And the same is said for Joe Lowe, Nigel Lonvike, and anyone in the squad now. There's competition for places from 1 to 11, which is what you want.
And worth a mention, you've got a special guest in the Legends Lounge tomorrow as well.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. I mean, they're always good, but Simon Garner, a particular favourite player of mine. I think technically one of the best footballers I've seen play for Wycombe Wanderers. And that's no understatement. And there's been many, many, many players who could qualify for that accolade. But Garnes was just fantastic for Wycombe Wanderers. It was at the autumn of his career. He had a slightly different lifestyle to perhaps the footballers of today. A tremendous character, but in terms of first touch, finishing ability, and that amazing knack of knowing where to be and when, he just had it in spades, and he was a great player to watch. He's also a very good speaker, so I'm looking forward to chatting to him in the Legends Lounge. He'll be at Adams Park tomorrow. He'll be selling signed copies of his autobiography as well, which I'm sure is going to be a fantastic read too. For those of you who don't know Simon Garner pre-Wycombe, he's Blackburn Rovers' all-time top goal scorer, and that includes the prolific Alan Shearer, who couldn't get close to Simon Garner. He's Gareth Ainsworth's hero when young Gaz was a Blackburn fan up there going to what he would park to watch his heroes. Simon Garner was his favourite ever player. And when Gaz got to 600 games as a player, Simon Garner turned up at the game and presented him with his Wycombe Wanderers shirt with 600 on the back. So, yeah, fantastic stories with Simon Garner. So it's going to be a really good day.
I enjoy both the Easter fixtures and look forward to catching up with you next week to preview the Wembley game.
Yep, happy Easter, Colin. Thank you very much.
Pleasure chatting to Phil. As always, do get more of the match build-up with pre-match drills. Check out Wanderers TV as well for more great content. And Phil will be back with Ringing the Blues on Tuesday from 7. Don't forget, of course, you'll be able to hear the whole match live tomorrow from 3. There'll be match build-up before that as well in the car park, no doubt. And from 2 o'clock, you'll get match build-up on Easter Monday as well, the trip to Blackpool. Still to come, we'll have Wycombe Wanderers legend Len Worley joining us. We'll be hearing from him. Let's switch our attention briefly, though, to Wycombe Wanderers women, who it seems like quite a long time they had the final 4 league games, but we're finally in action on Sunday. And Craig joins us to tell us a bit about that, because it must be quite off-putting for the players and management team to having so many postponements with the strange weather.
Yeah, it's been a difficult sort of couple of months. I think we had 28 days between our last game and game we played on Sunday against Woodley, and I know all the players and the coaching staff were quite happy to get back to sort of some sort of normality. But we've had like 2 or 3 games called off because of the weather. I mean, the games we've got left, I think, kind of speaks volumes of that. We've got one home game that's been in the calendar for a while against Winchester Flyers, but then Bagshot League, we've got an away game against them that's been called off once, and we do have a game against Warminster, and that's already been called off twice this season. And incidentally, the Woodley game that we just played, that got already called off once before as well. So it's been very stop-start since probably since January, the turn of the year. It's been very stop-start, and last year we were pretty much done by, I think, the first week of March. We played Ascot in the semi-final of the Cup, maybe the last week of February, like that kind of time frame. Whereas this year, 28th of April, we're going to be done. So touching May almost.
And it must be difficult for both the management team and also the players as well, because you get geared up for these games, don't you? Then to find out last minute that they're called off.
Yeah, it's hard for everybody. I think the last minute cancellations is definitely the hardest part. Because we don't often find out about these things until sort of like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, when pitch inspections are done the morning of the games. So, everyone could be up, having their pre-match meal. If it's like Warminster, for example, it's, nearly a 2-hour drive. So, for to get there for 12 o'clock, which is like a couple of hours for kickoff, maybe 12:30, you're leaving at sort of, 10, 10:30 to get there on time. So you're having your breakfast, you're packing up, you're ready to go, and you'll get a text message saying game's off, waterlogged pitch. So it's really hard for the players and the management team to do that. Even to be a bit selfish, it's hard for the media team as well, because we've got this pre-match stuff all planned, and then we'll have highlights going out and pictures going out in the coming week, and then that will get sort of taken away from us. So everyone has to kind of completely rethink their week and rethink what we're going to do. But it's to get momentum as well, Colin. We were doing pretty well at one point as well, and to take away those Sundays, you're going Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. You get in a rhythm. You start to build really good relationships with players on the pitch, and to have that taken away from you quite regularly because of the wonderful British weather is quite challenging.
Nice that a friendly was being able to be arranged though as well, to kind of fill in and really help with match sort of fitness as well.
Yeah, girls had a friendly last Thursday, a couple of Thursdays ago now, I think it was. And that definitely helped. Sort of just, again, it's just understanding more of new players coming in. We've had an influx of a few new players, which you guys have aired on Wycombe Wanderers show, and we've aired on our social media accounts. And, it's for them to kind of get up to speed as well, as much as the girls that are already here. And, Danny as well, new coaches, which again, we've sort of interviewed, and you guys have aired as well. And for him to understand the players even more. So I think Carl's kind of almost said this is almost like a mini pre-season now before, we kick on next season, and, we try and target those goals and those aspirations that we so desperately want.
A 0-0 on Sunday against Woodley, was that quite disappointing? Was it nice to get a point in a way?
I think you can look at the positives, clean sheet, away point, they're 2 big ones. As the home team, I think Woodley would expect to want to win. They've been doing credit where credit's due pretty well this season for a team just promoted to the division. They've always sort of been in and around the top half. So, credit to them. So, from our point of view, that is a valuable away point. And in the reverse fixture as well, it was 1-1 as well. So, it's two very even teams. So, I think we can still finish above them, which would be brilliant. But, for us, just focusing on our own positives, a clean sheet and away point was very pleasing.
So remind us what's still to come in terms of the fixtures for the remainder of the season.
So we do have 3 games left. I know the final 4 was was said about 3 weeks in a row, but we do have 3 left now. We have Winchester Flyers on the 14th. We have Bagshot League away on the 21st, and we have finishing off on Warminster Flyers on the 28th. We were supposed to have a game on the 7th against Bagshot League, but we requested that to be moved so we could actually go to Wembley and support the men and the Bristol Street Motors final against Peterborough. I think so far we've got 50 odd people coming. That's players, coaches, staff, friends, families, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to have a good following on the 7th to Wembley, and looking forward to supporting the guys.
Sounds like a fantastic day out and a really great kind of opportunity for the women, as you say, to show their support and really back the team.
Absolutely. I think we're all really looking forward to it. I mean, it's Wembley, it doesn't matter, the reason for it, but to go and support the men is going to be a lot of fun. And, we've all been on certain visits to Wembley for different reasons, and playoff finals and stuff. So I think this is a special one. There's almost like a catch-up one from COVID. I think of that one, and everyone sat at home for Oxford and not being able to do anything but yell at the telly. This is almost like a bonus one that we didn't necessarily expect, and it's a welcome one, and we're all really looking forward to it.
And the under-23s and under-18s still plenty to play for as well, of course.
Yeah, the under-18s. It's been a big season for them. They had a massive influx of players in the summer, which feels like a long time ago now. But some of those girls have really grown. And I know Sunny's really pleased with how they're maturing and how they're developing as a team. And the under-21s, yes, they still under-23s. They still have a few games to play as well. They've had a couple of postponements themselves, which is again difficult and disappointing from their point of view, because they want to keep playing games and they want to sort of keep developing their season as well. But yeah, it's just been disappointing with the postponements as well. I think the under-23s had a couple that wasn't even pitch related because they were at home, so there's not much they could do about that. But again, you can only play what's in front of you, Colin, and if there's no one to play, then it's another Sunday at home, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully you'll get great support for the final home game of the season. What would you say to anyone who's considering coming along to support the Chairgirls for that?
I mean, anyone that's kind of listened to these conversations with you, or they've listened to our social media or watched our videos or seen our photos, will see that the support that does come down to Burnham, whether it's the mascots or the fans, or there's people I see at men's games I also now see at women's games, which before the season I didn't. And that speaks volumes to how well the girls are doing, and how brilliant it is to have this extra support. So if you are thinking about coming down, it's £4, £3 if you're a men's season ticket holder. It's free for under-18s. It's a great venue. It's got chips. It's got great food, and it always shows. It's got a lovely bar as well, so you can always go and watch the game after our game. There's always a WSL or Premier League game on afterwards. So 2:00 kickoff, 14th of April. Please come watch us against Winchester Flyers.
Up the chips.
Up the chips. Always up the chips.
Thank you so much for your time. Great to chat to you.
Thank you, Colin. Take care.
Go and watch Wycombe Wanderers wearing. They've got chips. It's a reason to go, isn't it? Still to come on this week's Wycombe Wanderers show, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield. Captain Jack will join us as well. And we've got a real Wycombe Wanderers legend on the way next.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
A reminder of what's to come in terms of Wycombe Wanderers action. They're at home to league leaders Portsmouth tomorrow, a trip to Blackpool on Easter Monday, and then the countdown really well and truly underway to the Bristol Street Motors Trophy against Peterborough United. The final is on April the 7th. On next week's show, we'll have plenty of build-up. We'll hear from the manager, some of the players as well, and we'll bring you news from Chiltern Railways. Their plan, of course, to get you there and back, hopefully in a decent way. And there's a train strike, of course, the day before, so no service on the 6th of April, but we'll have full details on next week's show, so make sure you don't miss that. But first, with big thanks as always to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association. I was fortunate enough to speak to a member of the first Wycombe Wanderers team to go to Wembley back in 1957, the wing wizard that is Len Worley. I spoke to him earlier on today and interrupted his dusting. Great to know he's still dusting at such an age as well. But as you can imagine, preparations for that final were very different to what will be happening a week on Sunday for the current group of players.
Absolutely. In fact, I was doing national service at the time, so I didn't really get involved with the build-up towards Wembley. I just picked up the coach at Gerrard's Cross and off we went to Wembley. Fortunately, I was stationed in London. I was with the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery, and I was able to sort of jump on a train and come down to do a bit of training in the evenings, which I did. But apart from that, no, I sort of just turned up at Gerrard's Cross, jumped on the coach, and off we went to Wembley.
Did it feel especially special, though, because it was the first time the club had been at the National Stadium?
I suppose it was. It was special. And I think if I'd been local and been involved in the build-up, I think it would have meant that much more to me. But as it was, I was detached from it all, doing national service, and just turned up and played. But I did then go back to Wycombe with the team, and we were greeted with crowds of people in the centre of town, and we all went up onto the balcony of the Red Lion Hotel and acknowledged the crowd. And, I mean, that was fantastic for a team that actually lost the match. But that's typical of Wycombe fans, you know, they're great, always have been.
No, absolutely. And you were doing the national service, of course, with the likes of Cliff Jones as well.
That's right, yeah. There's Cliff Jones and Maurice Setters, who played for West Brom, and Willie Duff, who played for Hearts in Scotland, Rhys Nicholson, who played for Doncaster Rovers. Yeah, the idea was that the adjutant of the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery wanted to build a team good enough to win the Army Cup. So he recruited all various players who were due to do national service. And we all assembled and did our time in St John's Wood, London. But we never won the Army Cup for some reason or other.
It must have felt such a great opportunity, though, for you, because at such a young age in your footballing career as well, to be doing that.
Well, you know, I didn't really like the idea of doing national service, to be honest with you. You know, it was 2 years, in my case, a waste of time. Plus the fact that I was actually playing for the Army later on in my career there, and sustained a broken leg. So I spent the last 3 months of my Army career in plaster getting over the leg problem.
So what were your memories of the day itself at Wembley?
The main feeling I think I had at the time was it was a fairly overcast day, fairly damp, and I couldn't decide what sort of boots to wear. I had rubber-studded boots or normal studded boots, and I couldn't make up my mind which pair to use. Anyway, I decided to use the rubber-soled boots, but that was a bad decision because Wembley being as Wembley with a thick and moist, the rubber boots just didn't do the job. So I changed them at half-time into studded boots, and that made a whole lot of difference, and I had a better game then. But strange, those sort of memories stick in my mind more than the actual match itself.
No, it's incredible to think, you know, it's so long ago, yet, you know, you still remember things like that. And obviously the players that you played with as well are still, you know, fantastic memories you must have of playing alongside them as well.
Oh, yeah. That, I think, has been a big plus. The number of players that I've played with and met during my career at Wycombe was terrific. A really nice bunch of lads, genuine, hard-working. And, you know, there was never, ever a swear word. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And sort of the bond that you build, I guess, because, you know, the experiences that you go through together.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And, of course, we've got an ex-players association, and that's still running and active, and we sort of still meet up from time to time, and that's great.
It must be incredible for you to be able to reflect on, you know, those things and so many years later as well.
Well, it is, if there's anyone that wants to listen.
Oh, no, it's part of the club's history, of course.
There are not too many of those. I mean, this is quite unique because I really haven't discussed this at all with anybody since the day at Wembley, really.
It's fantastic to be able to relive that time, though, and really reflect on what you achieved and, you know, those experiences, though, as I say, with yourself and the rest of the players.
Yeah. But, I you know, apart from Wembley, I think getting capped for England was another big plus for me. And that really, I think, made an impression and made me really proud and obviously brought some sort of pride to Wycombe Wanderers as well.
Of course, and as a 19-year-old, I guess you could never have imagined, you know, what you would have achieved and gone on to do with the club.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, because, you know, I went on, spent 15 years with them and made over 500 appearances. So, you know, enjoyed every minute, to be honest with you.
And I guess as well, being a winger, of course, that must be great to, you know, really make an impact in games from that position.
Oh, well, I tried to. I tried to show off as much as I could. Yeah, of course, in those days we were playing at Lokes Park. It sloped 11 feet from one side to the other. But we were always playing in front of good crowds. You know, we had up to 11,000 watching in those days. You know, it was great.
Really special with just obviously the league, but also cup competitions as well.
Yeah, oh yes, yeah. Yeah, I remember we played Pegasus in an amateur cup match, and there were 11,000 people there at the ground. You know, fantastic.
And really special to be able to speak to you because, of course, there aren't too many of the 57 teams still around.
I'm afraid not. I think there's only two of us left, isn't there? Dennis Syrett, the goalkeeper, and myself.
Dennis Syrett, Dennis Atkins, Mickey Rockall.
Oh, yeah. Mickey was on the periphery because he actually was a substitute to me. So if I couldn't or didn't play, Mickey would come in and take my place.
Because it's strange to think, isn't it, that there weren't even substitutes around in those days?
Not at all. No, we played the Amateur Cup semi-final at Highbury. There were 26,000 people there that day. And we ended up, actually, with only 9 fit men. 2 of our players got badly injured and just hobbled around the pitch. And, as you say, couldn't be substituted. But fortunately, we managed to win that match. And, in fact, I scored 2 goals that day, which is most unusual. And that got us to Wembley.
It must give you a huge sense of pride as well when you consider, the club's been to Wembley on a number of occasions since, whether it's in the FA Trophy or the playoffs, and to have been in the Championship as well. That must really prick your memory in terms of that experience that you had.
Oh, it does, and it does. And I think it's heartening to know that the club has been so successful from my day right through to today. And, that's really, really good. Because an awful lot of clubs haven't done that. I remember playing against teams like Walthamstow Avenue, which you hardly hear about now, Dulwich Hamlet, Ilford, Woking, all clubs, of the same sort of level that Wycombe were, and yet Wycombe have progressed and done extremely well. And
so great that you're able to share, these stories, especially with the modern players as well, because I know comparatively recently you went to the training ground, didn't you, to meet with Gareth, and you even took your boots as well.
I did that for a bit of a laugh, really. Could you imagine an 80-plus-year-old training with the rest of the guys? Yeah, I don't think I would have managed that.
It does bring a great mental picture, actually.
Yeah, true. I laugh about it now. I did it just for a laugh anyway.
No, of course, but it just goes to show, doesn't it, how I imagine, training was so different when you were training.
Well, we did all ours in the evening, behind the stand at Lokes Park there was the training pitch, and we trained there 2 evenings a week. In the winter under floodlights, in the summer or later summer months, obviously, without the floodlights. But no, the facilities that they have now obviously are so much better than what we had. But then that's what they call progress. And it's great that, they have progressed and done well. They're a great club, Wycombe.
Really nice for you as well to see, sort of the foundations that you helped lay as well, and just how the club has grown in these years. Oh,
absolutely, yeah. I enjoy going back there from time to time and, watch the matches. And, it's really nice that people still recognise you. And that gives you a little bit of a boost.
No, absolutely. Great to, come across, I'm sure, fans that have seen what you've done for the club and, obviously watched in person as well. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite heartening and it makes me feel good. Yeah, absolutely.
Because, we've spoken to other ex-players, because I'm sure at the time you don't really perhaps realise or appreciate, how much it means to fans to have the chance to go to Wembley and watch you in action, or, just in general games at Lokes Park, as you say as well.
No, you don't really think about that. You sort of just take what's happening almost for granted, and you go ahead and you play your matches, you do your best, and you're playing for a great club. But you don't think in terms of later years or what sort of impact you may or may not have had. It's only now that, one realises that you have made a little bit of a mark, on a very good club.
And as I say, really brilliant that we can still talk about it all these years later.
Yeah, an awful long time later. Oh, to be young again, eh?
No, absolutely. And how would you sum up finally, just, what's so special about the club?
Well, I suppose right from the start, they made me particularly feel very, very much at home. Obviously, they wanted me to play for the club, but they were friendly, and they were an amateur club when I actually went there. And I was quite surprised because the first game I played, I can't remember who it was against now, and I was called into the secretary's room before the game, and he sort of said to me, "Oh, how much do we owe you for coming from Chelverton, Peter?" And I said, "Oh, 1 and sixpence or something." So they said, "Here we are, there's your 1 and sixpence." And at the same time, he handed me a little brown envelope. And I thought, oh, well, and I thought, oh, what's that? And blow me down, it was £2.50. And so that was the first time I actually got paid for playing. And, and I was supposed to have been an amateur. But there we are.
And do you have particularly favourite memories of your time at the club as well?
Well, I guess the most significant time was obviously the Highbury and scoring 2 goals that, got us to Wembley. And I suppose that was most significant, and particularly as one was with my left foot and the other was a headed goal, which is most unusual for me. But yeah, that was the most significant time, and of course, going to Wembley and playing in front of 90,000 people.
Are you going this time as well? Will you be able to go to Wembley?
Well, I'm not sure I'm going. I sort of made an inquiry when I was down there, a week or so back watching the match. They said, well, we're not issuing tickets at this stage, but give us a ring later and we can sort something out. So I'm not quite sure at the moment.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get a red carpet.
Well, I've been to Wembley before when they've played, but obviously, I keep a fairly close interest and go down there a few times a year.
No, absolutely. Well, it's been a real pleasure to speak to you and share your memories. Thank you very much for your time.
That's okay.
I better let you get back to the dusting.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Perhaps the more dust has settled in the time we've been speaking.
Maybe so.
Thank you very much for your time. Great to chat to you.
Okay, guys.
Real pleasure to speak to you. Len Worley, who was speaking to us whilst dusting. No, actually, he briefly paused between dusts. But hopefully he'll get to go to Wembley as well. Get Len Worley a ticket. We should start a campaign, shouldn't we? Still to come, the part 3 of the Wycombe Wanderers show.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound. The Wycombe Wanderers Show. Thursdays from 7.
106.6 FM. Wycombe Sound.
Final part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show still to come. We'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield, looking ahead, of course, to the Good Friday visit of league leaders Portsmouth to Adams Park it's tomorrow, isn't it? If you're listening to the podcast version of this, it might have been yesterday, or it might be today. I don't know when you're listening, to be honest, but if you're listening live, it's definitely tomorrow. And of course, the visit of Blackpool on Easter Monday to look forward to, and then, and only then, if you're a player or manager, can you look forward to what's to come at Wembley. I'm very pleased to say we can speak to Captain Jack. Jack Grimmer joins us. Hello, sir.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Really good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, thank you very much. I'm, as you say, well rested before tomorrow's game, because we have 2 massive games before sort of even looking towards next weekend.
No, of course. We're really lucky to speak to you the day before a game. I don't think that's happened before. Hopefully you had a good international break yourself.
We did, yes. I think it came, at quite a nice time before a busy end to the season. It feels quite crazy that I think we still have 9 games left, 5 of which or 6 of which are actually away. So it's a busy finish to the season. Normally you're sort of on cruise control to the end of the season, but not this time. So it's I think it came at a nice time for everyone to get sort of rested and recuperate a little bit, and straight back into it with a massive game tomorrow.
It's quite a hectic schedule coming up, isn't it? Which I'm sure you're aware of, and obviously not keen not to look too far ahead. But as players, do you kind of relish that in a way? You really look forward to games?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, training has its place. Of course, everyone wants to improve, but I think the bread and butter is of why we play football is to play games. And I think it can be tough depending on the size of squad you have, but the size that the gaffer has assembled at Wycombe, it's more than equipped to deal with games congested towards the end of the season. So it's I'm sure he'll rotate as he might do due to injuries and things like that. But as you said there, it's the best thing for us is to play games, and that's what everyone wants to be a part of.
And I guess as well, is it all right, or if it's all right is the right word, to kind of cope with such a tight turnaround with games, because you've got obviously tomorrow and then Monday as well?
Yeah, I think it is quite it's rare that at this stage of the season I think you have so many games still to play, but I think with a lot of those games being away from home, it doesn't exactly help the logistics of everything, and it's a busy Easter weekend. In Saturday, Sunday, travelling up to Blackpool to play on Monday, and then the countdown to next weekend can truly begin. But after that, then we've still got long away journeys to Carlisle and the Midlands. So it's it's a busy end to the season, but if anything, it'll make it fly by. And I think the gaffer's mentioned a good number of times that he wants to finish on a high, and we're all kind of pulling in the right direction so we can finish the season positively.
And as players, do you really look forward to testing yourself against the league leaders, especially at home? Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's a different sort of atmosphere around the place compared to maybe the turn of the year. The gaffer's alluded to that a few times, that I don't think any team in the league will want to come to Adams Park. I think that's been notorious from when I first signed 5 years ago, that I don't think anyone enjoys coming to Adams Park. And I think we've found the bit of form that we were lacking in the earlier stages of the season, and we found that consistency, especially at home. I think we've found a way of playing, and the system really suits us at the minute, and we're full of confidence. And the boys will be rested after having the weekend off, as will Portsmouth, because there wasn't many games on in League One, which shows you the standard of the league. That if you roll back 5 years ago, there probably wasn't many international players playing in League One, but I think the standard has risen drastically in the last few years, and you just see the size of the clubs that are in the league, and it's as you say there, to test yourselves against the league leaders, and they have been for quite some time now. It's a great achievement by them, but we feel very confident in ourselves that we can match anyone on our day, especially at home.
I should ask, as a proud Scotsman, were you secretly rooting for Wales so that Joe Lowe might get a go at the Euros?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was gutted, to be honest. We've got Joe Jacobson and Sam Vokes who were devastated by the penalty miss, and it just shows you that kind of pressure. I mean, club football's one thing, but to have an entire nation on your shoulders is something entirely different. But it did hit home a bit more, because obviously Joe Lowe could heavily feature in that squad in the summer if they had managed to get there. So I was, gutted for not just Joe, well, especially Joe Lowe, but JJ and Vokesy as well. It's a tough one to take, especially as it is a home nation.
No, absolutely, and it must be great as well for yourself and the players to kind of really not reflect so much, but really kind of see what's kind of and feel good about what's clicked recently. To have these 3 games in a row, wins in a row. It doesn't feel like that long ago that you spoke so passionately about how things weren't going so well. It's such a great feeling now to have turned that around.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm not going to lie. I've enjoyed the last 3 wins immensely because of the sticky period that we went through earlier in the season. And like you said there, I remember being on and discussing how things weren't really going our way, and that we were working sort of tirelessly, and especially the gaffer putting in the work to turn it around. And it does make you enjoy the wins more. I think when people write you off and things are against you and things like that, it does make the wins taste that little bit sweeter. But as I said before, we've still got a hell of a lot to play for this season, and it's by no means just because we've hit some good form. I definitely will be sort of trying my best to instill in the boys that there can be no complacency come tomorrow.
It must really knock players' confidence, especially when you go on such a run without a win. But did you perhaps secretly know in the back of your mind that these good times would come?
Yeah, I think so. I think you don't like making excuses all the time because I've seen teams be down there and you hear them come out with excuses. So I was never one to kind of play the victim almost at times. But I think we always felt that we were close. I think we always felt that we were always in games, which is the most important thing. You see teams that have been down the bottom and they're shipping 2, 3, 4 goals a game, and that was never really us. I think we had the odd game, of course, that we concede more than one or two, but it was never on a consistent basis. So I did feel that we were always there or thereabouts, and it was just fine margins, as probably the cliche saying goes, that we were losing games by. But and we were looking for reasons as to the late goals and things like that. But I think now we feel like we've got a bit more of a solid base about us, and we've sort of figured out a system and a way of playing that everyone feels comfortable with, and I think it brings out the best in the players that we have available.
And I know last time we spoke to you, you're really keen, obviously, to keep clean sheets as a defender, and that's really, sort of something that's happening now. As you say, a lot more solid at the back. And we were talking to Phil earlier as well about how certain players have really taken their chance with Franco in goal, and of course, and Nigel with Joe's unfortunate injury as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Max and Joe Lowe have been immense for us all season, and it just shows you that the strength of the squad that we have is Franco gets his chance, and Nigel as well, as you mentioned there, and they both have been patient and have been working behind the scenes, and they're ready to take their chance when it comes. And it's the nature of the beast that you have the shirt for the length of time that you have it, and you try and keep it as long as you can. We do have a very the gaffers created a very, very competitive squad with players that probably all think they have a chance of starting, which I definitely agree with, and it is that probably giving the gaffer a lot of headaches, to be honest, throughout the season. But that's what he chose, and I think you're seeing the dividends paying out now.
And I know as fans, obviously, we look at the league table, perhaps as players, not so much, but it does seem a lot healthier now, doesn't it, with the team in the top half now and really looking up rather than down.
Yeah, it's funny what a couple of weeks or a month does in football. I think you get a bit of good form, and then all of a sudden you've got Wembley and you get through the semi-final, and you then you've got an appearance at Wembley to look forward to, and all of a sudden you win 3 on the bounce and you hit a bit of good form, and then it's everything's looking up, and everything was everyone was not sure what they were worrying about. But as I can say, having been through it all this season and right in the mix, I'm very relieved, to be honest, and happy that we've managed to actually turn our good performances and all of our hard work into wins, because you can keep performing as well as you want, but if you're not winning games of football, then it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So it is a much more positive vibe around the place. I hear it a lot with the fans on social media and things, and there's just a general that normal sort of buzz about us again. So it's a great game for us tomorrow. I think I'm really looking forward to it. It's I don't even think it's a free hit, because I think we've got more in the tank than just going out and having a free hit against top of the table. I think we've very, very confident we've got what it takes to get the win.
And something really special, isn't there, about the Easter holidays and the chance for perhaps fans who can't make Saturday games to come along on a Friday, and it should be a great atmosphere with families and close to Easter, and as you say, such a big game and great opportunity for you as players to really show what you can do as well.
Absolutely, I always find that the Easter period is normally a busy one, because you've got the 2 games, but it is always they're probably more supported games, because people have the time off work and they can plan it a bit better, because hopefully the fixtures don't get rescheduled. But even on the Monday, it just turns out on Easter Monday that we've got a trip to the seaside in Blackpool, which is also a nice weekend away. So if any of the fans are travelling up there, then well, my plaudits to you. It'll be great to see you there, and it's that. I mean, the weather's been terrible recently, but normally around this time of year, spring starts to spring, and you feel that summer football's coming on its way back. Although saying that, the weather was shocking today.
I was going to say, it can't be much fun for training, especially when the rain's heavy and the pitches are heavy, and we've had experience obviously of games being called off, and but hopefully between now and the end of the season in just over a month's time, then all the games will be on, and we'll get. Do you set sort of targets as players, or do you sort of clump games together and think out of this group of games it'd be great to get this, or?
I did previously, and then I sort of found out that when we had sort of quote winnable fixtures that we never really seemed to pick up as many points as we thought, and then when we had tough fixtures, we picked up more than we thought. So it's one of them that probably I remember last season we had a big sort of chunk of fixtures that we all thought were winnable, and we never picked up a win in 7 games. And it's just so unpredictable. So we do, as cliche as it sounds, try to take it as one win at a time, and just build on, because you never want to look too far ahead. And I'm sure a team in Pompey's position will be doing exactly the same thing.
No, absolutely. And what would be your message to fans at this time? Because I think many are excited about getting their tickets for Wembley, but also excited at the calibre of team that's coming obviously tomorrow, and in Blackpool as well, who are obviously going for promotion too.
Yeah, absolutely. Easily could have been Blackpool we were playing next weekend, to be honest. And but yeah, just a massive thank you. I know it's not been the easiest of seasons at times, but a big thanks to everyone that's stuck with us and sort of seen the vision and the hard work that we've been trying to implement throughout the season. I think I'm very glad and actually quite relieved that we're repaying sort of a transitional season in the league, I would say, with still getting a trip to Wembley. I seen there was 13 or 14,000 tickets sold out. So hopefully those numbers keep climbing, and everyone can enjoy their day at Wembley, because it doesn't, although we've been there a few times in recent years, it normally doesn't happen to many clubs. It's crazy to think this will be my third time with Wycombe in a short space of time, but it's just a little payback, I think, for the fans that have supported us this season, home and away, and all across the country. And I think there's a good crowd scheduled for tomorrow's game against Pompey, which I'm heavily looking forward to. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere, and one of those games that both teams, I think, they're obviously got a lot to play for, but we feel that we do as well with such a big game around the corner. We want to keep the good form that we have, and it's probably hopefully set to be a great encounter.
And it sounds obvious, but it must be a great boost to all the players to really feel that the fans are behind you as well going into this business end of the season.
Absolutely, yeah. No one wants the sort of negativity around the club that we had previously in the season, and the players do shoulder that responsibility quite heavily. Knowing all the boys like I do, and myself included, I think it's up to us at times to really provide that good feeling and that good vibe. And I'm relieved that it really does seem to be back at the minute. Building into such a big week of 3 and incredibly hard fixtures. I'm relieved that the feel good factor is back, and the positive vibes are there, and we're really looking forward. And as you said there, everyone seems to be looking up with positivity rather than that sort of aura that was there previously.
We really appreciate your time, especially on the eve of a game, and thank you so much. Wish you all the best for tomorrow and indeed the coming games as well.
Top man, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
Wycombe Wanderers captain Jack Grimmer speaking to us here on Wycombe Sound. From the captain to the manager, we caught up with Matt Bloomfield earlier on in the week as he spoke to the press, talking about the benefits of the international break to the players.
We've had some good time on the grass. It's been time to have a couple of days at home resting and recuperating with our families, and looking forward to what is going to be a really busy period between now and the end of the season, and a really exciting one. We want to pick up some more points. We want to get ourselves higher up the table. So yeah, it's been nice to have a little bit of time to breathe. But we're fully motivated and energised, and looking forward to what promises to be a really exciting weekend.
Does it feel like it came at a good time, or would there be a concern that momentum might have been lost with those 3 wins in a row?
Yeah, of course. I guess only results will give us the evidence of whether it was a good or a bad time. We certainly didn't want the game off against Cambridge. We wanted to keep playing because we were in good form and picking up points. But there were the circumstances we were dealt with that the game was off. So, you have to try and make a positive out of that and get the boys a few days to recuperate and get ready to go again. So listen, you have to train as hard as you possibly can, but equally at the same time, we'd had a really busy spell since Christmas, and it was an opportunity to just breathe for a few days, get the energy back and get ready to go again.
Much to look forward to in terms of what can be achieved in the coming month, but obviously focusing on Good Friday first, and a really exciting opportunity for the fans as well, I think, to come down and see the league leaders in town. Yeah,
most certainly so. Just discussing it with their gap at the top of the league that Portsmouth have now. It's just a matter of time before they secure promotion. John's done a great job there, and got a really good squad of players, who have been at the top of the league all season for a reason. They're very efficient in what they do. very efficient in picking up results, and we're going to have to be at our best on Friday if we want to win the game.
And there is something really special, isn't there, about coming down to Adams Park over Easter? Because I guess many people perhaps might work on a Saturday or unable to make it to the games, and having one on a Friday or indeed on the Easter Monday, if it was at home, would be an excellent way to come and show. And of course, there's not many home games left now of the season.
No, exactly that. I mean, all of the above, probably, mate. To be fair, I think any holiday season, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, Good Friday, there's always a slightly different feel in the air. Plus, the weather's starting to warm up a little bit, I think. Supposedly. So hopefully we'll have a nice day for it and families can come out and, create a really good atmosphere at Adams Park. I think the atmosphere has been very good recently. It's been, the fans have been full voice, hopefully enjoying their days or afternoons, watching us, evenings, watching the way the boys are trying to play, the way we're trying to go about our business, trying to pick up the results. So, we just really hope that we can keep that momentum and keep moving forward, because I have real high hopes of what we can do here. I have real high belief in what these boys can achieve, and we have to keep proving that by picking up results.
Have you had to prepare any differently, or has it affected your team selection with regard to just having these two games so close together?
No, because the next game is the only one that matters to me, and we'll worry about Monday after Friday evening once we can, deal with the first game. We have to go as positively and as strongly as we possibly can and try and pick up a result. We're slowly but surely building an identity, I believe, in the way we want to go and do things. We're building an identity of the team and the way we're trying to play and the way we're trying to pick up results. And for me, it's about continuing that, keep the forward momentum in terms of picking up results and trying to prove ourselves against the league leaders. So it's a real exciting proposition for ourselves, and I'm certainly excited for that, and I know the players are too.
And with the team on such a great winning run, is it just a case of wanting more of the same from them on Friday?
Yeah, I want more of the same in terms of the way we've been creating chances since Christmas. I think we're top of the league in terms of expected goals, net expected goals for and against, expected threat. We've been creating some good opportunities. I want to keep picking up points. I want us to keep rising the table. I've got a real big hunger for that. I do. So, the one thing that winning a few's given us is that, desire to keep feeling that feeling of winning. So if we can keep playing the way we have been since Christmas and keep trying to build ourselves in the right direction, then I have every belief that we can go toe-to-toe with the teams that we're playing coming up against.
And it sounds like an obvious question, but does this feel like a real kind of, you're starting the real business end of the season now?
Yeah, I think, a lot's made of this part of the season and, the running and the business end of the season. For me, it's about testing ourselves against the league leaders, about trying to keep proving ourselves to the journey that we believe we're on. The destination that we want to get to isn't where we are right now. So for us, mate, it's about proving ourselves, trying to get to where we want to be by the end of the season and trying to prove ourselves and take that momentum into the summer. So, yeah, there's a lot to be achieved between now and the end of the season, and I'm certainly hungry to do so.
And is there a point where you need to start thinking about next season, or has that already started, or is it a bit early yet for that?
I think as a manager, mate, I think you're always thinking about the here and now. You have to concentrate about the here and now, because if you put too much attention too far in the future, you may never get there if you take your eye off the ball of what's happening right now. So whilst contradictory to that, you always have to be aware of the medium term as well, because, as the responsibility of my job and my responsibility to Rob and Pete and the supporters of our club is to do the best I possibly can for now, whilst also keeping an eye on what's best for this football club in the medium term. Because, as a manager, you're judged on the results of the here and now, but my love for this place and my dedication to the job means that I'm always got half an eye on the medium term, because I want to do what's best for this football club moving forward as well. So you have to try and marry those two things up, and there's always some conflicting thoughts along the way. But yeah, you have to concentrate on the here and now, whilst keeping half an eye on making sure you're doing what's responsible and right for the football club and its fans.
And just finally, what would be your message to supporters who have the opportunity to come down on Friday? Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to the game. I'm really looking forward to us having Adams Park in full voice against the league leaders. Come and watch a team that we hope you're proud of. Keep evolving, keep moving forward, keep improving, and we hope that we can keep doing that and giving you something to cheer.
Appreciate your time and all the best for the game.
Cheers, Colin. Thanks, mate.
Real pleasure to chat to Matt Bloomfield. Wish him and the team all the best for the Good Friday game and, of course, the trip to Blackpool on Easter Monday, both of which you can hear live here on Wycombe Sound and on Wanderers TV, of course, with Phil. And as Phil mentioned in the Legends Lounge, tomorrow he'll be joined by a bit of a special guest as well, Simon Garner. We spoke earlier as well in a couple of weeks back to know that Declan Link is hoping to attend, and his brother George definitely will be at the game tomorrow as well. So some real Wycombe Wanderers pedigree there. Join us for the show next week. We'll be building up in earnest to the game at Wembley, of course, in that trophy final. And don't forget as well, with the Wembley warm-up, the foundation event with Martin O'Neill as